Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Canary Room. I think episode 15 actually, this year. We have done more than 15 episodes though, because we've done a number of special trips and special episodes, and we've got more of those to come. We are, where are we? Where has the year gone? No idea what date it is. When this episode goes out, I think it will be the 15th of October. That's right. The following week, so a week after this episode goes out, I will be judging in Belgium. The week after that, I'll be up in Scotland. The week after that, I'll be judging in Germany. And then another show, another judging and a show, another show, a weekend off, another judging and another judging on the same weekend. So plenty of stuff to come in. Oh, and of course, we're going back to see Keith Ferry in the next couple of weeks as well. So something else to look forward to. And we will try and get as many more sort of bird room visits as we can between now and the end of the year. But hopefully you'll understand that if there aren't as many as there have been in previous years, it's not because I don't want to bring them to you. It is because I'm all over the place. I'm literally all over the place. Massive thanks to everyone who has commented and watched and enjoyed, it seems, the Canada video. So huge thanks to everyone who enjoyed that. Incredible time. Massive thanks to Jeremy and Karen and all the team there, and of course Jay for looking after us as well. So what have we got in store today? Well, it's going to be a relatively quick-ish episode, I think. I say that now, I've got no idea how long it's going to be until I stop talking and edit it. But I think it's going to be a relatively quick one. What we're going to focus on today is preparing the fifes for the show bench. So our first exhibition, first run out for the birds is this Sunday coming. It's going to be at Shropshire Fife down in Telford. So a couple of hours drive from the house. So going to focus on those. Before I do, a couple of shouts out. One is to the County Armagh and District Cage Bird Society. You will have seen on Facebook, if you haven't, have a look at it. They have a competition going on at the moment to win 2 tickets for the World Show. Very progressive club, doing an awful lot, trying to promote the hobby, which benefits us all. So well done, chaps and chapesses, for that. Keep that up. We will have a look at preparing some of the fifes. We'll have a look at some of the Norwich, and I'll talk to you about some of the new acquisitions that we have already made and that we plan to make. So, you know what to do, everyone. New mug. Thanks, Jay. Grab yourself a cuppa, sit back and enjoy the show. So we are mid-October. We've already seen a number of shows happen. In sort of, certainly from a Fife perspective, we've had the National in England. There's been the National in Scotland, and we're on the third weekend. There's been East Anglia Fife, and I had the great pleasure of judging Hull, Gloster and Fife Canary Club with Ian Cardwell and Gerald Spencer. So that was really enjoyable day out. Lots of good quality birds on show, which as a judge is all you want. You want to be able to judge good quality birds in front of you. So lots of good quality birds on show. Massive congratulations to Dan Ashton, who took Best in Show and Best Champion. Very nice self bluebird, really nice cockbird. Showed itself well throughout. We had lots of familiar names in the specials, with the Archers, Smith and Evans, the Gorins in the champions section. The novices, well, a stud that seems to be doing some winning already this year is Damon Vickers. They were there again. They won Best in Show at the at Stafford the week before. They had 3 specials, I think. And a really nice variegated bird took the best novice, and that bird was from Jerry Gamak. Jerry had a couple of specials, and a massive shout to our mate, friend of the show, Russ Sykes. Russ had best novice clear there, so he'd won the show there last year and followed it up with another special performance. So well done for that. Great show. Lovely standard of birds. A couple of the Gloucester winners as well here. We've got best Gloucester and best in show, and then best novice Gloucester as well. So well done to everyone. Good to catch up with some familiar faces, and nice to nice to see the sort of standard of birds. I think the Dan's bird was an incredible bird. I think a special mention that I'd give to Smith and Evans. They benched a very nice clear buff cock. Very hard to get style on a clear buff cock, but they managed it, so well done, chaps. So this weekend we're coming up to our first run out of the birds. Now I would normally show them at Stafford, because I was a little bit later breeding this year than in previous years. I didn't have the sort of the volume of birds that I'd want to show ready. So the first thing is we've got a show this weekend. When this episode goes out, I will have been up at probably 4 o'clock in the morning to box the birds up, to drive them then to Telford, to arrive there sometime around 7:30 to unbox them and to leave them to the judges' scrutiny. So I will take the camera to the show and try and capture some film of it. But let's talk about the preparation. One of the things that is super important is that when birds are taken to a show, that they're properly prepared, and properly prepared in every sense. So the first thing, we often talk a lot about show cage training, getting birds familiar to being in a show cage. My birds now are in a show cage for sort of half the day. I've got a little shelf here where I've got 3 show cages. I only have 3 on it, and they're in there for half a day. They've got seed, they've got water. The other thing which is really important, obviously, with all of your show birds is they can find the drinkers. I use fountain drinkers on my cages, and the show cages are basically through a bob hole. Now, I have used bob hole drinkers before. These are a little bit too big, and what generally happens is the birds get out of them, so that's preventing me from doing it at the moment. What you'll notice, and you'll see here with this little green yellow hen, is that I've got broccoli in the water. And broccoli in the water helps the birds just they're inquisitive naturally. They'll stick their heads through, they'll get a bit of broccoli, but as the broccoli bobs down, they'll get a bit of water, and my hope is that they will associate then, right, okay, that's where I get a drink. So if I'm thirsty, that's where I drink. A bird's inability to find the water can be catastrophic for the bird, but it can also damage any opportunity, any chance it's got of doing well on the show bench. Normally I would bench my birds the night before. For the first show I always take them on the morning. It is quite a stressful environment. It doesn't matter what you do in your shed. I have a radio on in here all the time. I put different glasses on. I put hats on. I do everything to try and get them used to different sights, sounds. The kids come in and all kinds. But you cannot replicate the show bench. You can do as much as you can. So first thing, the water, and we've got broccoli in the drinkers to do that. Second thing then is the preparation of the birds. Now, one of the things I noticed, which I made a note on the cage label. One of the birds at the show I judged recently had been trimmed, and it had been trimmed on the tail. Now, that is, frowned upon. You shouldn't trim the bird. You certainly shouldn't take a pair of scissors and whop them across the bottom of the tail. You do, though, need to look at the birds, and you need to look at their overall shape. And we can see here, I've got a buff cock, a clear buff cock in a training cage. And one of the things that I'm looking at with this clear buff cock is that there are basically a few sort of straggly hairs. I'm going to call them hairs rather than feathers on the back of its neck. And what they're doing is they're just distracting the eye from the overall bird. So it's changing the sort of the judge's view. So what I do is I'll get that bird up, and you can see me here holding it firmly in my grip. My hands are relatively shaky, and I am using a pair of tweezers just to tweezer out the stray hairs. You've got to be super careful. What I don't want to do is take a chunk of feathers out, so I'm just trying to tweezer out, in this instance, the stray hairs. So that's important to do in terms of the preparation of the bird. The other thing to look at then is the tail, any stray tail feathers. And the most important thing is the overall feather quality of the bird, the composition of the feather over the bird. And that is achieved, for me at least, A, in your breeding, but B, then in your preparation. And so what I'm doing is the Monday before a show, I will put the baths on the birds. So the birds, the show team birds, have all got access to baths. You'll see a couple of them in here, getting straight in, getting a really, really good soaking. And you can see after then they've got a really good soaking. On a Tuesday then, I will spray the birds, so no more baths, but I will spray the birds. And I put in my spray, I put a couple of little drops of tea tree oil. So that goes across the birds. That will help them sort of preen and encourage them to preen. What's super important at this time is that you only have water in the drinkers. So I will give the birds multivitamins at this time of year, but you want to have water in, because what you don't want them is preening with a multivitamin, because the feathers will go all sticky. So I've got the spray, a heavy spray on the Tuesday, and then on a Wednesday, as you can see here, it's a light spray. So it's just a light spray. What I make sure is the bird turns round, so I'm not just spraying one side of it, and I give it a light spray, and then that's it. And what I want to do is give it 4 days now for its natural oils to come through, for it to preen itself. So that's the preparation. I'm going to talk to you in a minute about the selection. Seen in previous episodes of the show, we've got essentially 24 cages here with elements of the show team in. We've got some more cages there. I've got a couple of birds that I've put into a flight cage just before the show, just to give them a little bit. One of them's carrying a little bit too much excess fat, so I've popped it in there to give it a little bit of a run. Hopefully it'll just get into a little bit better condition before the show. Condition is really important, so I've entered 16 birds for Sunday. I can tell you that now, because by the time this episode starts, the judging will have commenced. I'm not going to tell you what I've entered, but there are 16 birds in. What I'm doing now in the run-up to the show is judging the condition of them. So there is one bird in a cage just at the bottom there, which has looked a little bit off colour over the last couple of days. Probably nothing too serious, but he won't go into the show. Only show, however tempting it is, it could be your best bird, but you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility as a stock person to your own stock, so don't show stuff that's not well. And then you have a responsibility to fellow exhibitors that, I don't know, I'm not a veterinary expert. I don't know what's wrong with that bird. It doesn't look too seriously. It's just not great. It might have had a bit of night fright and it's just coming round from that, but it might not have, and what I won't do is show it, and that for me I think is the right thing to do. So next thing then really is, I've entered the birds. We've seen on previous episodes how I prepare show cages. You want the show cage, our good friend Keith always talks about the show cage being the frame, the picture frame around the bird, and you want the show cage to be a representation of how much you care about the bird. They take time to do. They take time to prepare. I've got a day off on Friday where I'll be preparing my show cages, so they will all get done and they'll come in here, and as I say, I'll box the birds up on Sunday morning. So you're looking at the selection of birds. What's really, really important is you don't judge birds in stock cages. And I want to show you something here, and I've ummed and ahed about doing this, but I'm going to do it because part of the channel is about, just showing you the kind of the frustrations, if you like. So you can see here in this stock cage, and I have just taken the drinker off just for the basis of getting this footage. So the drinker's back on now and was only off for a matter of seconds. There is a clear yellow hen. Now this is a bird that I've had my eye on for some time. It has a very good depth of colour. It's got, it could probably do with a little bit more rise above the beak, on the head, but it's got a really nice break in the neck. It's short and it's typey. And in the show cage, it shows itself. It moves well, it shows itself, and it's got really good position on it. In the stock cage, that's important, stock cage. Okay, this is the same bird in the show cage. Now I've let this bird settle before I took this video, so I've given it a fair chance to settle. I haven't just put it in there and turned the video on. I've given it a chance to settle. You can see that it's showing its secondaries, so it's showing a boxy set of secondaries, which I don't like to see. You can see that it's slouched a little bit. It's not showing the kind of position I want. And as I try and move it across the purchase, it's not moving in a good way. As opposed to this little, now this is also a yellow hen, this is a little green yellow hen, but you can see, you know, this bird looks okay in a stock cage, doesn't look anything special, but actually once it gets into a show cage, it really starts to take shape. Now it's not finished yet, but it's starting to take shape. And that's one of the things when you're coming up to prepare your birds for show. You know, they can look like world beaters in here. And that's lovely for you, and that's important for you. Because you are judging the quality of your stock every single day. So it's important you see the attributes that you want in the stock cage. The birds are relaxed, they're in a calm environment, they'll show themselves to their best quality in your stock cages, which is fantastic. And that's how I will make a selection process based on what I see in these cages. I will consider those show performance. Now, I'm fortunate in that a number of my birds, and I've got a couple this year in particular, that are show-offs. You know, they like to show themselves, and they certainly do in the environment I've created, and hopefully they will on the show bench as well. So, that's... excuse me. That's really what I'm... looking for when it comes to show preparation and show selection. So if you see me on the show bench, say hello, and I will let you know how I've got on. As I say, some birds have already been out twice. This will be the first time my birds have come out. Not that often makes a difference, but they will be better, I think, for the experience of getting into the show. And a little bit of an update from around the rest of the room. We are still waiting on our DNA results back for our red poles and some of our white Norwich. Some of the other Norwich are really starting to take shape now and looking really, really nice. So I'm pleased with them. We have got some acquisitions planned for the Norwich. We've made a couple of acquisitions already in the Fifes to bring some birds that are related to my birds into the room for next year. So I will, towards the end of the show season, obviously talk to you about plans for next year, and those plans could be quite exciting. I'll know more at just how exciting they're going to be a little bit later on today. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, you know what to do. Subscribe now. If you've enjoyed the video, hit a like. Always enjoy reading your comments below and always try to respond to them as well. Until next time, everyone, take care.